I believe, Palvi, we can start.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Welcome here. We have gathered today on this Sunday morning for enlightening session by Mr. Rohit Singhal. First, I would like to welcome Rohit sir and congratulate him for securing 70th rank, All India rank 70 for this Civil Service Examination 2024. This
Thanks,
is
thanks, thanks a lot, madam.
Yes, yes. This is Dhruv. Okay, this session is arranged by Dhruv IAS Academy. Dhruv IAS Academy is basically guiding for civil services in last 16 years in Dombivli. We believe that future civil servants are catalyst in socio-economic development of our nation. So we nurture officers in this vision. So the session is itself one of the effort to take our students nearer their dream. This academy was established by Mr. Vinod Deshpande. We got just introduced about him. He is the director, mentor. He is also in charge of Government of Maharashtra's Amrut Incorporation's self-employment initiative. Also, he is socially active in Dombivli for various projects. I will request Vinod sir now to say few words and introduce Mr. Rohit Singhal. Thank you.
Palvi, and thank you, Rohit, for attending this session. We are meeting online, and there are around 25-30 students who have joined till now. Probably
Great, great.
would join.
Thanks for having me here.
We will have a few more students. We are recording this session for the benefit of the larger benefit, so that actually
Sure.
students can refer to this session. We are actually we would like this session to be more informative and more analytical than motivational.
Sure.
Only having you within us is an opportunity for us to get into the civil services more closely, and probably our questions will be answered. That's we are believing that some of the questions will be answered. We have shared you the list of the questions with you, the list of questions. For the audience, Rohit Singhal has cleared civil services with the rank 70. We rarely find people who are within hundreds especially from the Mumbai region, from Maharashtra. Of course, Rohitji is from Calcutta originally, has joined RBI. Many of us were wondering should they be looking for backups since this was his fourth attempt. So he has cleared his RBI as well. He has appeared, he had cleared the SAB exam also. So some of us would be probably interested in knowing about the backups when they should be planning for backups and something like that as well. But having plan B sometimes becomes plan A, and then actually it gets wavered. So even that is what we are looking at. Rohitji has deep interest in probably from the interviews that I have seen. He has shown interest in joining IFS when he could clear the IS. So even that is a curious case why he has chosen his this option as a service. So many people would dream IS. Of course, there are many who dream IFS as well. Of course, I believe that it is because of his keen interest in geopolitics and diplomacy that probably personal interest they reflect in your career, the choice of career also. He has a technical background. He has BTech background. Probably that also explains that he was less worried in CSAT. Many of our students are worried about CSAT, so we would probably need some clarity. I'm trying to linking the areas that you are already strong in, and with that students that are struggling with certain areas. So BTech background has probably helped him in developing a strong background for CSAT as well. But being in the services for long span, from he's in this for since 2016-17, I guess, I believe that he's preparing for
I started the preparation in 2018, sir. I
18.
graduated way back in 2016. Then I worked in
Right.
corporate sector for a year.
Okay.
and thereafter I started my preparation in 2018. Yeah.
Right. So being in preparation for 5 to 6 years is not a small thing, of course. In itself, it is a big task to be uh, pursuant in this field. So even that is something that we need to learn from him. I guess it is always seeing is believing. So I would like to request Rohit sir to talk about his journey and how did you and when did you start preparing and actually how was your journey since then? You would like to know about, and then we can, sir, if you allow, then we will have certain interactive sessions so people can come up with their own questions also.
Sure, sure. So thanks for the introduction, sir. So again, as you rightly said, I've done my BTech in Information Technology from NIT Allahabad. I graduated in 2016. Thereafter, I got a college placement, so I worked in Bangalore for less than a year. And IT did not, I was not very much keen into software development. So at that point of time, I had two things in my mind, either civil services or armed forces. So at that point of time, I had this TGC exam coming up, technical graduate course, the Indian Army offered by Indian Army. So I appeared for it, fortunately got recommended by 14 SSB Allahabad, and I was offered entry into Officers Training Academy, Chennai. But that course was starting, it had some 6 to 7 months of time when it had to begin. And during that time, due to the push of my family also, my interest in civil services started peaking. Like this, I started reading about administrative services, foreign services, and that was the point of time when foreign services really clicked. Like I thought, hey, this is what I want to join, and this would suit my personality, my interests. So that was the beginning of my civil services journey. I decided not to join the Officers Training Academy Chennai course of Indian Army, and I took this plunge into the civil services. So that was the beginning, somewhere around early 2018 when I started my preparation. Gave 3 attempts in 2018, 19, and 20. Unfortunately, did not get through. 2 times I failed prelims, and 1 time I could not go through mains. So that was the time I felt I had spent around 3 years into the preparation and I was not getting the results. So maybe there was some lacunae in my strategy. So I thought it would be better if I have some kind of backup, a job which can give me the comfort of not doing anything and being at home and just preparing. So I sat, as you said, for SEBI and RBI. SEBI, I did not clear. I cleared the prelims part, but I did not clear the mains part because the RBI exam was clashing with it. But fortunately, I got through RBI in 2021 and I joined the bank in 2021. So I've been working with the Reserve Bank of India in Mumbai for the last 4 years now. And for the first 2 years in Reserve Bank of India, like 21, 22, and 23, due to me being occupied in office and due to some other things going around in my personal life, I could not study and I had almost thought of giving up on civil services. Although I joined the bank option with the option of appearing again. It was in the back of my mind that I'll appear again and give civil services. But for the first 3 years, due to being occupied in office and due to some other things, I could not study and I could not appear. I did not study even for like a day in the first 3 years. So then I made up in mind like late 2023 that this is the right time. If I have to give, I have to give it a shot now, else it would be too late. So somewhere around October 2023, I started preparing. I appeared in this 2024 attempt, and with some, I think the stars have aligned in the right way, and I got through with a good rank this time. So that's it, sir. That is how my journey has been.
You can start with the questions if you have. Uh, It is an open forum now. People can ask, you can ask questions.
Okay.
Sure.
Can I ask one question, sir?
Yeah,
How did you divide your energy throughout the year for prelim, mains, and interview preparations?
Okay. So as I told for the 2024 attempt, I started preparing in 2023 September, October, around that time. And one thing is there that although I had prepared for this exam earlier, but it had been a long break. I had prepared way back in 2018, 19, 20, and I had no touch with the preparation. Like it had been a break for around 4 years now. So I'd lost touch. So whenever we have a time horizon of like 1 year to the exam, I will always suggest that we should start by not focusing on the prelims aspect, but focusing on the mains aspect. Like pick your basic books, go through your main syllabus, and devote, like first thing is be ready with your optional. Optional is a very big chunk and it is the differentiator. Like in GS, more or less, although some people score very well in GS also, but optional along with essay and ethics are the main differentiator where you can have a huge jump of marks and you can take a good lead. So you have to have a solid preparation of your optional. For that, the thing is you need to zero down on your optional based on your interest, preferences, whatever it is, and finish it first. And that can take around 2 to 3 months easily. So like I'll divide it in the way like first 4 months you give to your mains preparation, optional, go through your basic GS2, GS1, although there is a lot of overlap in GS2, GS1, prelims and mains can be done in an integrated fashion also. But first be at a basic comfort level with regard to your mains preparation. Then 2 to 3 months before the prelims is the ideal time, depending upon your comfort level with the prelims examination. If you are not very comfortable, maybe 4 months. If you are very comfortable, you have given past attempts, then maybe 2 months. So, like for my case, it was 2.5 months before the prelims exam. I completely switched over to prelims. I did not. I had kept my mains preparation, optional answer writing, everything on the back burner. It was dedicated 2 months of prelims preparation. Then between prelims and mains, of course, every all the time is dedicated for mains. For interview, I don't think I studied with the aim of interview like before the interview itself. Like general newspaper reading, which you do throughout your year, that helps in interview. But I would not suggest that you start preparing dedicatedly for interview before the long before the interview stage. Like that can be managed after the mains results as well. So that is how I would suggest to that is how I divided my time.
Okay. I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Uh, so how did you balance this vast syllabus of UPSC, right? Where we have to ensure that there is a conceptual clarity and also we are ensuring that there is a proper retention. Because earlier in 2016, 17, we have seen, no, a lot of times it was quite factual, questions were quite factual in nature, but now we are seeing that the trend is changing. Now we are seeing that the clarity is must. So how to address that?
Yes, see, as you rightly pointed out, the trend has of course shifted. It is no more a game of memorization. I wrote memorization. Of course, some bit of things you cannot avoid, but to memorize, like in ancient medieval history, art and culture, you'll have to end up mugging up some facts. But the thing which one should prioritize most is conceptual clarity. Like this year, I saw two questions in prelims which were very basic economic concepts like of I think effective revenue deficit or primary deficit they were asking. So a very conceptual economic concept, but they've asked two questions on it. So I think yes, conceptual clarity is must. For that, we should read the basic resources first. Like I don't think so. Conceptual clarity is a challenge in most of the GS subjects because after all, it's a like 10 plus 2 level syllabus. But in some subjects, it can be challenging, like economy, geography, where some conceptual difficulties students generally face. So for economy, I would suggest like whatever is the term which we are coming across newspapers, like incremental capital output ratio or whatever. Like this year, there was a question on alternative investment funds. These are the terms which regularly keep cropping up in the newspapers. So whenever we come across something which we are not aware about, which we don't understand conceptually, I would say just try to Google it, read, do not deep dive into it, but just understand the basic concept. And for other big things, make sure that you have covered your basic resources, like for NC, like 11th and 12th NCRT for geographies, and similarly 11th and 12th NCRT for economics. I'm not recommending NCRTs for every subject because, like, history can be tackled with some other standard books like Spectrum or something like Polity can be tackled through a Lakshmikant. But in some subjects, basic NCRTs do help in getting that conceptual clarity. And as regards the retention part and memorization part, I think there is no escaping the fact that to keep it revising again and again. Like for history, art and culture, as I mentioned, ancient medieval, maybe try to make some short notes of the things which we tend to forget and memorize your notes. Some people have a way of getting around things like using mnemonics or having whatever method suits them. But you have to balance it first. The even for retention, the first thing is conceptual clarity. You have to have the conceptual clarity, and then we have to memorize certain things. Maybe we'll have to read it again and again, make short notes out of it. So that is how I think we can have a balance over there.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Uh, Along with preparation of UPSC, it is also personal journey. So, can you please explain how your thought process and your outlook changed during this 5 to 6 years of preparation?
See, sure, it is a enriching journey. When we start the journey, we are not aware about, not even like I was not aware about what exactly like Indian administrative services do, what exactly Indian foreign services do, what are the challenges they face, what is ground level governance like. Like even if we read these things like basic constitution, we might have read in our some history or civics lessons, but we tend to forget. And our schooling education system is like we tend to focus on memorizing rather than understanding. So even if we would have studied civics, we might not understand our basic polity. So I think when you end up during this course of journey and when you towards the end of your journey, you are a better product in terms of your general awareness. You understand the civic polity, start seeing things from a multi-dimensional lens. Like you start linking pollution, geography, government policies, like basic case Delhi pollution. There are so many factors to it. There are geographical factors, policy factors, and a lot of factors. So you develop a well rounded perspective to things. You're more aware person, more aware of your surroundings, more aware of your responsibilities, and not somebody who is living a cocooned existence. So in that way, it definitely refines your personality, and not just in the terms of knowledge or information. It also helps you build that character. I think I have taken quite a lot of time to clear this exam, so it gives you the much needed resilience, perseverance. So it's a test of your patience also. Of course, you have to do the hard work. So in that way also your personality grows, the ability of you to put in the required efforts. So all in all, it's a good journey where you end up learning a lot of things. So I think it changes it personality for the better.
Sir, I'm having a question. Currently now I'm in 12th standard. So after 12th, I'm planning to take honors in psychology and also
Okay.
aiming for IFS
Okay.
after
Mhm.
graduation. So what subjects should I take for that, for IFS, or what all courses which are available which will help me for IFS more?
Okay, see, if you want to choose IFS and you really have an interest in IFS, I would not say that because you're in 12th standard, so it is too early to start thinking directly about the preparation. Maybe you can choose your courses in a way which aligns with the syllabus of UPSC optional. Like you can, if you are aiming for IFS, you can probably choose political science and international relations as your optional subject. So for that, maybe. But you said you would like to have your graduation in psychology, if I am correct.
Yes, my honors in psychology.
Your honors in psychology. So I don't know how that goes. If you can pick some optional subjects like on PSIR, or you can have an optional course side by side, or even if you don't have this course in your graduation, maybe you can just to develop a better understanding. I would not suggest some coaching at this point of time. It is too early. Maybe when you can graduate or in the final year of your graduation, you can look at certain coachings or institutions which will help you with your journey. But at this point of time, I just say be more aware about what is happening in the international relations front in the geopolitics. Maybe newspaper reading might come in handy at this point of time. What is going around? Maybe you can, if you are really interested, you can refer to some magazines, international magazines like the Diplomat or the Economist, which have a good IR coverage, international relations coverage. So all these things will gradually help you to have a better grasp over international relations and for be better prepared for your career in civil services in IFS.
Okay. And what all foreign languages do you suggest? Like for IFS, I have heard foreign languages are necessary, at least one.
Again, that is too early to think about these things. I think once you get into the civil services, there is no mandatory requirement of having knowing a foreign language before joining. I'll be joining the foreign services. I don't know any language except Hindi and English. So I think all these are very personalized choices. Which language do you prefer? And to be honest, I also don't have very lots of clarity like which all the people who will be of my batch will be joining the Indian Foreign Services. All of us have the same doubts. Which language do we fill in as a preference? So it depends upon a host of factors, your preferences, your rank, vacancies, your personal interests. So all these things come into play. So if you're really interested in some language, of course you can try to learn some languages during your graduation, but that is not a mandatory requirement.
Okay. Sir, continuing to this question,
Yes.
how to approach the preparation of current affairs? There are various materials available and various approaches popular in market also, but actual current affairs are in the newspaper and other magazines, and questions asked we see are in different parameters. So, how do you approach the current affairs?
See, current affairs, the most basic thing, like I had a paucity of time. I was working full time with Reserve Bank of India, so I did not have time to focus fully on current affairs. So, like what I usually used to do is I used to glance through the newspapers while going to the office, and that too I would skip on some days when there was office exigency or whatever. So I would not recommend the same, although if you have the time, you should go through the newspapers daily, at least be in the know-how of what other things happening around. Even if not going to the details, have a cursory look. As regards compilations, I think one thing which worked for me, I will not suggest to anyone, but I was not very comfortable making notes out of current affairs. I thought that it is too time consuming a process and it does not help at the end. You end up with lot of bulky notes, but some people make notes and do get benefit out of it. That is what it's worked for me, like not making notes. So at the during the last stages, you can go in for one of the ready-made compilations. There are a lot of compilations in the market. So I would not name any. All the coaching compilations are good, but don't be in the FOMO kind of thing, like fear of missing out, like keep running after materials. Stick to one or two compilations and be thorough with them. And like in prelims, like how the exam has been for the last 2 to 3 years, I would say not focus too much on current affairs. Like better to focus on your statics, better to focus on your conceptual clarity, and just be aware, like be thorough with the newspapers. I don't think these compilations help because, as someone rightly said, there are no factual questions these days. So
Hmm.
and the time invested to the returns which we get out of current affairs is not very good in terms of cost benefit ratio. So just to be aware of the basics, do not miss out on the basics, but do not deep dive into current affairs. Like start prioritizing it over your static subjects, like giving it priority over a Lakshmikant or a Spectrum. That is what I would not suggest. And similarly for mains also, like one good compilation is enough. I think don't run after material and don't stress too much on current affairs.
The Hindu is a right choice or not?
Uh,
Reading the Hindu.
personal, it's a personal choice again. A lot of people read the Hindu, but I was more comfortable with Indian Express. So for the last 6 to 7 years, like Indian Express has been the newspaper of my choice. Like particularly like its explained section, I find it really good. Not just from the exam perspective, from a general awareness perspective also. They explain the things which are happening around in a very lucid and a very informative way. So if somebody would ask me, I would definitely prefer the Indian Express over the Hindu. But again, it's a personal choice, and both are good.
Hello, sir. I had one doubt. So, during preparation, which subject do you find difficult, and how did you approach it?
So see, I'm not very comfortable with memorizing factual details. I like to read. I like to read things which are conceptually appealing. I like to understand things, but I am not at very much comfort when it comes to learning and memorization. So due to this, some subjects became challenging for me. Most challenging being art and culture, ancient and medieval history, because these subjects, of course, require a lot of memorization. There are a lot of facts, a lot of dynasties, a lot of invaders. So these things were difficult for me to manage. But the thing is, like in my initial attempts in the past, I used to not focus on these subjects. Like in my first two attempts, I think I did not even study ancient and medieval, which is I would not recommend the same. I think we should study all the subjects, given the importance of even one or two questions in prelim and what difference 2 to 5 marks can make. It can make or mar your day. So how did I overcome this challenge? I think the only way to overcome is to eat the frog, as they say. So I picked up the books. I studied them multiple times. You have to give in the required amount of inputs to get over that challenge. And when you read it for 2 to 3 times, I think the certain sort of comfort kicks in, and you are more comfortable with the subject. It is no longer that daunting a challenge as it might have appeared to you earlier. So I think the only way to overcome is to read it again and again, maybe revise it again and again. And that is how I think I overcome the challenges which I faced earlier in ancient history, medieval history, art and culture, and these subjects.
Sir, I wanted to ask that how did you approach CSAT? Recently, we are seeing CSAT trend has been becoming more from easy to, let's say, moderate to difficulty level. So, what kind of advice will you give to even those who are having difficulties? Let's say they are fearing cons. So, they are not
Mhm.
coming from the engineering or the tech background, right? So, what kind
Yes.
of approach or suggestions would you like to give?
See, as sir mentioned, I think while he was introducing me, I have a BTech background. So that helps me in my CSAT preparation. To be honest, my due to my background, I have not really given a lot of effort to CSAT because I was quite comfortable with quantitative aptitude, English, and reasoning because of my engineering background. But I understand that the that the exam level is getting difficult every year. Like 2023 was the most difficult one, I think, and this year again it has been a challenging paper. So I think it is very important to understand the demand of the exam. If UPSC is setting the paper in the way, I think UPSC wants people to shift their focus or at least gives the required amount of effort or put in. Like people generally tend to focus over GS and tend to ignore CSAT. This has what has been the trend. I see a lot of people even this year who are clearing GS by a huge margin. They are scoring well above 110, 120, but are failing to make the cutoff for CSAT. So I think UPSC wants us to change our mode of preparation and requires us to give the basic amount of respect or the effort which CSAT deserves. So I think we have to recognize the shift of pattern and we have to give the required amount of time to CSAT. Regarding how to prepare for CSAT, I would not be a very right person because, as I told, I have not prepared specifically for CSAT. But then again, I think there are a lot of good YouTube videos on quantitative aptitude, logical reasoning, topic wise. You can segregate and you can watch those videos to help understand the demand of the questions, to help to get a better grasp over the subject matter like profit and loss, time and distance, clock, probability. You can do a division of the topics and understand them from YouTube videos. I think are the best source. They are informative also. They are interesting also. They will not bore you. So I think that is a good way to cover CSAT. And then definitely PYQs are of course the main lighthouse kind of thing. The your preparation should be anchored around PYQs. So solving past year's paper of CSAT, understanding the trends, what UPSC is trying to ask in CSAT, there is always repetition. There is always repetition of pattern. They tend to ask the same type of questions. So I think trying to be thorough with them, have a good grasp of all the topics that can be either through books, coaching, YouTube videos, whatever the sources are. But I think yes, CSAT does require more concerted efforts and commensurate efforts that it's giving the shift in the exam pattern.
Good morning, sir. I had a question.
So
My
how did you
question,
approach for your mains? Uh, Actually, when did your answer writing kick started, or how did you approach the? Was your optional subject was linked to general studies, as your PubAd is linked to general studies? Was your it was a conscious choice to go for optional, which is linked to general studies? That is was question number one, and the general studies overall. How did you approach?
Okay. So I think when I started my preparation, I did not have much knowledge or background like what was for this exam. I just dived into this exam without knowing anything. Like I had no background, no family background, none of my friends were preparing for it. So I just happened to be in this preparation without knowing anything about this UPSC journey. So, like, the choice behind public admin was like when I started looking for people who were preparing, I found some of my college seniors who were preparing for this exam and they had public admin and they recommended that it's a simple subject with less scores. So, I just went through the syllabus and found it to be quite like simple as well. It had basic topics and short as well. So, that was the thing. That is how I decided for that. Although I did not result in that way. And even though the syllabus was less, PubAd getting marks in public admin has been difficult for quite a lot of time now. People have not been scoring that amount of marks, and it requires way a lot effort than some of the other options. Like we have to basically read a lot of books to get to that to score those numbers in PubAd. So that is how I think going by my experience, I would suggest to invest some time and decide your optional carefully because not all the options are same in the UPSC. That is how it should not be, but that is how unfortunately it is. So I think we should invest some time into what optional are we choosing. Then, as you said, obviously overlap is there. So that is good in this sense that it has overlap with GS2, quality, ethics. So I think that is the part with almost every options. Maybe not science options, they are a little exclusive. But if you have sociology, it will have an overlap with the society aspect. If you have PSIR, it will have overlap with quality and IR. I think most of the options do have some overlap. So overlap definitely helps also. Like I did not specifically study for GS2 because I had studied it in public admin. So overlap helps. But I think, again, as I said, it should not be the sole criteria for deciding your optional, because optional is way more than just the overlap. You should be comfortable. You should be comfortable with it. You should be interested in it. Plus, you should see how the trend is like in UPSC. Are people getting rewarded for it? So that is it. And then regarding the mains preparation, sir, and answer writing, I think, as I told earlier, I started my preparation with my optional preparation. I made sure that I'm very comfortable with my optional. Then I and this did not involve answer writing, as again I was working, so I did not have that luxury of time to study also and write also. So all my answer writing was after prelims only. And again, this is not I would recommend, but this is how it was the case with me. I think if you have the time, you should start writing early, and before prelims, you should be in a decent position to write. Like in my case, it was quite the way opposite. Like 25 days before the exam, I was struggling to write. I like my first full mock test. I appeared for one full mock test 25 days before the mains, and I was hardly able to complete 14 questions out of 20 questions. So that is the level at which I was struggling. And then I recognized I have to give in the required amount of time to answer writing. So then last 25 days, like I would have written daily about 1.5 hours, 2 hours. Maybe I did not have the time to balance job and full-time tests also. So, but I made sure that I'm writing for at least 1.5 or 2 hours daily. So yes, better to front load your answer writing as much as possible. Like do not wait for perfection. Nobody achieves perfection in this exam. You just have to write reasonable answers. Maybe in the first iteration you will write very poor answers, but I think the first task is to start writing. Start writing, start completing the papers on time. And again, it is the nature of this exam that it is quantity over quality which gets rewarded. You have the first basic task is to write those 20 questions. And then if you are comfortable, you are able to manage the time and so that you are able to complete the 20 questions, then maybe your next step becomes your value addition, your qualitative improvements. The first and foremost task is writing, completing the papers. So I think start writing as soon as possible. Once you go through the syllabus, or once you are over with one GS subject, you are comfortable with it, start writing. Do not wait for the any perfection or doing other source or something like that. Once you have completed one basic source, get into the mold of answer writing. That is what I would recommend.
So how did you prepare for essays?
Essays. Okay. So essay, sir, what I did was I did not have the time, so I was not able to write a lot of essays. Maybe I would have written 6 to 7 essays between prelims and mains, full essays. But what I did was like almost daily for the first 2 months after prelims, I would like not daily, maybe I would have brainstormed at least 30 to 40 topics. I would pick some essay out of previous year questions, or I would pick some essay out of these normal mock tests that coachings conduct. And I would just give myself 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I'll not write that essay. I will just scribble and jot down what points they are coming to my mind. And after I have jotted down the points, I'll try to arrange all the points in a coherent manner, like how the structure and flow of my essay would be. So this is an exercise I think which helped me because it helps you to overcome difficult topics. Think in the moment, like see, during the exam if there is some topic which you have no clue. But if you have been in the practice, if you have practiced brainstorming, I think like in the first 5 or 10 minutes, it might happen that the topic might feel very difficult and no point is coming. But as you give it time, points start coming in, and especially if you have done your GS preparation, you can borrow some points from world history, from ancient history, from different dimensions of the syllabus. Only you get certain points which are relevant to your essay topics. So I would say writing essays definitely, getting it reviewed through some coaching mentors, your peer groups who are not even a part of UPSC, they can also help a lot in reviewing and enriching your essay because essay is all about perspective. The reader should be comfortable with the flow of the essay. He should be able to understand what you are writing, and maybe the reader has some different dimensions in his mind, in his or her mind, which we might not have addressed. So I think writing essays and getting it reviewed from our mentors, friends, again helps. And comparing it to, say, past years' toppers copies, we can always borrow ideas from them, like how they have approached, how they have written. So again, that can be of utility in essays. And again, some value addition kind of things we have to collect to make our essays rich, like anecdotes, quotes, some philosophical things, books. If we can sprinkle those extra masala material in our essay, so maybe there might be some reward for it. I think that is how I went about essay, sir.
Sir, we often see that during our UPSC preparation, aspirants, a lot of times they get misguided by the online content, right? So whenever we come
Yes.
across, mobile phones are handy only. So we feel that, yeah, this content is so good, this is so attractive. So we feel that, okay,
Definitely.
let us go do for this
Mm.
geography के लिए ये करते हैं, history के
Mm.
लिए ये करते हैं. So sometimes due to this misguidance, we forget revision also. So did
Yes.
you get influenced? And if not, what would be your suggestion?
See, I can totally relate to what you are saying. There are a lot of Telegram groups with lots of PDFs floating around. There is a flood of material, and every material is good. See, every coaching is investing effort, and every material has its own merits and its demerit, and in every material you will find some uniqueness. किसी में कुछ अच्छा होगा, किसी में कुछ अच्छा होगा, तो सब material अच्छा है. But the answer to this is no. Don't run after materials. But again, it is easier said than being done. So, first of all, before even starting your preparation, praise your sources. Make a list out of it. Ensure the basic sources are getting done. And as I said, for current affairs or something, pick one or two sources and just stick to it. We have to leave this FOMO outside the preparation. Else, we get caught in this vicious cycle of studying, not revising, not writing, not giving mock tests. So, my strong recommendation would be to strongly resist this temptation of going after new materials. Did I get influenced by it? See, in during my first phase of preparation, during my first 3 years, I did not run after coaching compilations or current affairs, but in the hindsight, I can say that I wasted a lot of time in going deep diving into the topic. Like I would search, like I would try to understand some topic like a researcher, as if I have to write a PhD thesis on it. Like optional, I would even for one topic, I would start reading some book on it. So I thought getting conceptual clarity and I will perform great. But the thing is, again, that time and the time put to the benefit we get is not commensurate. It is you might be gaining an understanding of it. It is very good, but that is not the demand of the exam. So we have to keep our preparations aligned and anchored to the demands of the exam. Not deep dive like a researcher, not run after topics, not run after sources. Just try to analyze the previous year questions, what UPSC is asking. Stick to your sources, see if your sources are sufficing. If not, maybe you have gone through your sources, then you come back to the questions and see that your sources not not fully meeting the demand. Then maybe you can identify the areas, which areas it is not covering, and maybe selectively those areas you can refer from some other text or some other source. But don't never go after materials, never run after materials.
Sir, I had another question. Do
Yes.
they allot the services to us or they ask our preference, like IFS, IFS?
Sorry, I did not get your question. If you can repeat it.
Suppose I am aiming for IFS right now. So will the UPSC
Yes.
board ask me my preference or will they allot me their service like IFS or IAS, IRS?
No, you will be asked to fill your services while you are filling the form. Like when you clear the prelims and when you appear for the mains. I think this year they have asked before the prelims only. Yeah, service preference form. You will be asked to fill your preferences and you will get your service based on the preferences you have filled and the ranks which you get. So it is not like UPSC would allot you some service on its own. It would be always based on your preferences and your rank.
Okay, so there are some cases where we don't get the preferred service. So what would you say on that? Like for your example, you were aiming for IFS earlier, but you got IAS. So how do you feel about it?
No, like I filled my preferences in a way that I filled foreign services above IS, so I'll be getting foreign services only. But I do understand your question. I think your question is like you have filled your, you might be wanting administrative services or foreign services. But unfortunately, we are not able to get a rank in top 100 and we end up getting a rank, say 300, 400, and we get some other services. So what would we do in such a situation? I think that is your question.
So,
In that,
sir,
yes.
yeah. How did you approach for the D day, actual day of your examination,
Any
prelims?
examination like prelims examination. Okay.
First, yeah.
So prelims examination, I think the actual examination, like how I would get ready for the exam or how I would solve the exam. I would approach the paper
Uh,
or
what
both.
was how did you maintain your temperament before the going for the exam, and then
Yes,
for the next 2 hours? Yeah.
yes. So I think again the way prelims has been for the past 4 to 5 years, it is quite random. मतलब कि howsoever we study, at the end of the day, we are just going to see 30 questions which we have studied. The rest
Mhm.
70 questions will, I think, none of us have studied them before. Like some maybe some option elimination or things like this work. But so to what we can learn from this is not to worry about how much we have studied, what we have left, what we were not able to cover. I think if we have covered our basic resources well, we need not worry about those 60, 70 random questions. They are random at the end of the day for every one of us. So we have to have a cool mind, apply logic, have a relaxed head, see the question. There are some patterns, there are certain things. Even though we might not have studied that topic, still we can, there is always a possibility of getting that question right. So for that, it is always better to be calm, to be able to read the question carefully, eliminate the options, have your logical brain working at that moment and not be stressed. Because at the end of the day, as I said, we the questions which we have studied, the books we have studied, we are only going to get 30 to 35 questions out from them. Correct? But we cannot just attempt 30 to 35. We have to increase our attempting the number of questions which we attempt. So it is very important to have a maintain a cool head, not get worried or stressed about by certain some difficult questions. They can be in some sets the all the difficult questions you get all the difficult questions in the first half an hour only, and you start losing your cool gap. क्या आ गया कुछ भी नहीं आता. I don't know anything. So I think it is better that these situations can come, be ready for it, and just try to take question by question. Like in cricket, they say don't worry about the outcome. Just in a test match, play the ball on its merits. Take each ball on its merits. So just like it, take have take every question is independent and we have to solve each question on its own merit and not think about how difficult it is or what I don't know anything. It is very important to maintain that temperament. Temperament does play a role in selection.
So please guide on my question because I am asking because I'm building my paths on that and also my plan B.
You are
Sorry.
saying what will we do if you do not get your preferred
Yeah, yeah,
service?
yeah, yeah. Because I'm building my path and
Yes.
my plan B based on that, on IFS preparations.
Okay, so see, all services are good. It is you might be wanting IFS. That does not mean that a revenue service or police service or any other service is bad. All the services are central services, group A services. So all of them are very good services. So it is not like, but again, it is very personal choice. If you do not want to join any other service and you just want to join the foreign services, maybe you can fill your preferences in a way that you just fill in foreign services, and that is up to you. And if you don't want any other services offered by UPSC, you can always have alternative career options which you can choose, like according to your preferences, according to your interests. Like if IR prefers you, maybe you can go for a master's or whatever. I am not very much aware about the alternative option. But that is a very personal thing, I think, I guess.
Okay, so can we re-give the exam? UPSC. Is there anything like that? Because I've heard.
Sure, we can always give the exam and try to improve upon our rank. That is always an option.
Okay.
Except if you get into IAS or IFS, that is these are the only two services in which you cannot rewrite the exam. But
Sir,
apart from that, okay.
yes, sir. You mentioned in the session that when it comes to UPSC, it's all about, perseverance and resilience, right? So, and as long as, and I'm looking at your journey, right? Three failures, and then looking for the backup, and then coming back again. So it says a lot. So what, according to you, are those non-negotiable habits or routines which are very, very essential to anchor your dedication, and which you would like to give it to our future aspirants?
See, again, I would say habits, routine, these are very personal things. See, some habits, some I have seen people who are sitting who study late till the night. Like during my school days, I had my friend and we both used to study together. But I have always been an early riser. I will go to bed at 10 or 11. And according to the exam, like not in UPSC, but during our engineering days, not engineering 10th and 12th, at that moment of time, those board exams were very difficult. I still am frightened at the prospect of those board exams. So I remember getting up at even 2 o'clock in the morning or 1:30 in the morning also. So that is how it has worked for me that I tend to get up early. But for some people, they will prefer finishing at even if that means studying till 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning and then going for a 2-3 hours nap. So similarly in UPSC cycle also because I was working, so like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. was going into office if you include the commuting time. So I had not much time left for studies. So, and as I have been an early riser for most of my life, so I used to just a minute, just a minute. Yeah. So getting up early was my routine, which helped me to prepare and devote the number of hours which are required. Like for the last 1 year from which I started preparing 2023, like I was getting up daily at 4 or 4:30, so that I have 3 to 4 good amount of quality time before I get into office. So, so that was one routine I think which helped me, and that I tried to maintain throughout the year. But I would not say it is non-negotiable because after the exam, I'm not being able to get up that early. So, but during the exam, yes, I tried to wake up early and give the required amount of time in the morning itself.
Mhm.
So
Sir,
how did you manage your
people,
distractions,
uh,
like the social distractions, festivals, etc.?
I think that has to be managed. If there is some festival and you have to go home, I think we should not miss out on the festivals and all these things. It should not be a very isolationist kind of preparation. That is how it had been in my case. We should try to balance everything. If we have to go to our home or family for a festival, maybe front load our preparation, study, like finish the things before the target so that we can take a 2 to 3 days break. And breaks are important for rejuvenation, and else there is always a possibility of getting burnt out in this process because it's a long process. So I would never say to skip festivals or to skip social gatherings. You might always you have to maybe some marriage 1 month before your exam that you have to skip. So that is again personal. That is based on the exigencies of the time, but you have to find a balance.
sir, I would also like to hear about your interview experience for this attempt. How was it, and what questions did you handle?
Uh, is my sorry. You asked me about interview preparation, right? See, uh, again, I did not have much time. Unfortunately or fortunately, as you would say, my interview was scheduled on 21st of January. That is 10 days into the interview cycle. So I did not have much time to prepare, and I was working also. So So how I managed it, like I had the foreign service as my first preference. So I kept it very targeted, my interview. I prepared strongly according to my DAF, what I had written. I prepared well on my hobby. I prepared well around international relations, geopolitics, because I knew I was going to get questions on geopolitics IR because of the IFS thing. So that is one area where I worked intensively and extensively. I read a lot of newspaper articles, maybe read some foreign magazines also, Diplomat, Economist, trying to cover each theater, be it Afghanistan, be it US, Canada, be it Ukraine, be it Middle East. I tried to gain as much as possible on each theater. So IR was one thing I prepared a lot. Then, as I was in RBI, I prepared banking, RBI, and like the things which were in news at that point of time, currency depreciation. So I think I tried to target, I tried to filter tried to be very selective in my preparation, like what could be the probable questions to me, because I did not have the time to study everything and everything under the sun. So, like, think better targeting, being selective, and of course, like current affairs are very important for interview. They might not be very important for prelims and mains, but for interview, they assume they are of utmost significance because interview tends to be they tend to ask you questions about the things which are going on. So having a good newspaper reading is a must for interview. Like 2 months before the interview, you should be thoroughly reading the newspapers. So I think newspapers, current affairs, and having a good grasp on your DAF, like what you have filled. See, there is always a possibility of saying no, that you don't know anything. It is not a test of your knowledge per se. It is, of course, knowledge gets tested, but it is okay to say no to some questions. You are not expected to know everything. But if you are not able to answer something which you have yourself written, then that becomes tricky and challenging. So you have to back up what you have written with good knowledge, opinions, everything. So that is how it is.
Okay. And was there any unexpected question of actual interview experience?
To be honest, I did not get any unexpected question, fortunately, and I scored well in my interview also. So all the things which I had targeted, which I had filtered and selectively studied, my most of my interview revolved around my DAF only, about my background, about my interest. It was about my journey. Like if I had not joined the army, there was definitely going to be some question related to defense or army. Why did I not join? Like something. So more or less it was on the expected lines. Of course, some things would be there, some random 2 to 3 questions, but they were not that big part of the interview.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, how do you navigated through your shortcoming which you felt in every attempt?
Okay. So that is one aspect where I lagged during my first 3 attempts. I think I did not learn from my mistakes. I kept on repeating the same mistakes, and that is why I could not get through 2 times prelims in my first 3 attempts. I could not clear mains in my first attempt because, as I said, I was reading. I was repeating a very, I think, a mistake which a lot of candidates tend to do. I was just reading. I was just making notes, going after new books, studying, spending a lot of time on newspapers. So I was making some uh, common mistakes, and I was not learning from them. I was not seeing the previous year questions. I had not checked what is the demand of the exam, and I was just studying. So that is what I was lacking in my first 3 attempts. But I think this time around, because I had less time, I did not have much time to give to UPSC along with my job. So because of the paucity of time, it was a very focused preparation. I straight away went, and the first thing which I did was to see the pattern of the examination. I evaluated, analyzed the past 10 years papers. So this is the one major thing which I improved upon my past attempts. I learned from my mistakes in this way, did not run after multiple resources, stuck to my own short notes, made short notes this time. In the earlier three attempts, I did make notes, but those notes were unmanageable. I made such huge, humongous notes that it took, like this time, I discarded all my notes which I had made 5 years back. I made fresh notes, one pager, two pager, very simple, basic notes. So again, this is an aspect where I improve, like short, concise, precise notes instead of very bulky notes where there is a lot of information, but if there is a question, you get confused to what information do I write, because you have to condense all what you know in 150 to 100 words. So if your notes are very lengthy, then you will take time, you will get confused in the exam what to fetch from your notes and write on these two sheets, because that is so your notes should be fashioned in a way that they meet the demands of the exam, they are concise.
One more question.
Yeah.
As you said, you were working with corporate during the preparation. So, how did you manage your time for preparation? And with that, please elaborate upon your revision schedule and your approach to revision.
So like dividing the time between my job and studies, as I said, I used to get up early and devote like 3 to 4 good hours before going to the office. So like 3 to 4 good quality hours is what I did daily. I would try to double these hours on weekends, and on Saturdays, Sundays, on holidays, I would try to maximize as much as possible. Then, of course, I was fortunate enough to get some leave before my mains examination. So planning your leave, saving your leaves for the examination, that is also a crucial aspect when you're a working aspirant. So how to manage your leave, how to save leaves, how to take leaves at the right time just before the exam, that is crucial. Revision, I think revision is of utmost importance. You cannot leave revision pending and keep on studying new things. As soon as you finish something, try to revise it as quickly as possible. I had read somewhere or I had seen some toppers talk earlier. There is always a revision rule, like you revise it the next day, then you follow up with the revision in the next week, and then you follow up with the revision within the month. So I think if you've done these three revisions, it gets very solidified. You get to retain a lot. So I think revision is a very core component. We although tend to ignore and procrastinate our revision sessions because it might not be very interesting as compared to reading new things. But yes, we have to overcome this feeling and we have to revise, and revision does play a very important role. At the end of the day, we
Sir,
have to draw a line between reading new and revision. We have to stop our readings and finish our syllabus and start revising.
Sir, we have a lot of young UPSC aspirants watching you, and a lot of them are currently doing their undergrad. A lot of them are also doing graduation, so they are balancing their college life and the UPSC preparation. So,
Yeah.
what advice would you like to give them, and how they could balance out, or how they can focus at the very beginning? So,
Okay.
according to you, so kindly just guide on.
ठीक है, it's good that people have identified their career choice that early. It's always have better to have a career orientation, which I lacked myself. I did not do anything in my BTech. I just like how it is usually for engineering students. It was a usual BTech for me. Landed up in a corporate job because I did not have a very defined career pathway that way. So it is good that people know that they have to appear for civil services. That target orientation is good, but at the same time, I would say not to fret too much about it from such a young age. Like graduation is also a time to develop your personality, have a good fun time also with your friends, make friends. Like I think everyone who would have, like at this stage of life, which I am, like 30s, 40s, like if you start late 20s, you tend to realize that that is the best time of your life when you had the most fun. So I think making friends and not missing out on the fun aspect is very important. It it definitely grooms your personality in certain aspects. It might not be very explicit, but it does help you in some of the other aspects of life. But if you like again, both these things can be balanced. If you want to appear for UPSC, maybe you can start building your foundation, go through the basic NCRTs, see what the demand of the question is, start reading newspapers from an early age. So all this knowledge accumulation will definitely help, and maybe just deep dive into the preparation and take a full-fledged plunge into the preparation only after your graduation. And till then, just be comfortable with decide your optional maybe. Start reading some general books. Start getting into the mold of the preparation that so that you are able to sit and study for those long hours when it is actually needed. It is not new to you. So that is what I would suggest.
Sir, I had one question.
Yeah.
As you said that you made a very fresh notes during this attempt. So did you make in the same manner you write the answers for the mains, or did you have any certain pattern for making notes or getting the answers?
If you can repeat the question, sorry, I did not get it.
But when you made the notes
Yeah.
for this attempt, did you make in the same manner the way you write the answers for the mains questions?
I think yes. Like for every topic, I would try to have an introduction. I would try to have a conclusion. I would like to have some data, some diagrams, if I can incorporate anything, value addition. Like for example, I can take an example like India-US relations. So I will, in my notes, there will be a starting quote on India-US relations. Then what are the possible areas of partnership between India and US? What are the possible areas of collaboration where we can cooperate? What are the challenges we face? How can we overcome those challenges? So I would divide a topic in certain aspects like problems, how to overcome the problems, what are the opportunities, and in every topic I would try to have this segregation as we have in a mains answer. And mains question would be possibly about a very specific topic, and maybe our notes would cover a lot of more dimensions, so as to be ready for all the questions on that topic. But it is modeled on the way an answer is written in a exam, so that you are better able to replicate it without thinking much during the exam.
Sir, did you make notes for each GS section like GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4 and all optional, and thoroughly for each particular topic which was given in syllabus?
Yes, mostly for every topic I did make notes this time. Mostly, yes. Yeah.
So it was time consuming, or did you manage to do it in 2 or 3 months while doing the answer writing?
I think the best thing how to balance this time is sticking to resources, as I earlier stated. Matlab कि just pick up a basic resource, make notes out of it, and finish it. Not run after multiple resources. So that is how you can optimize on the time if you want to make notes and for everything. And not very elaborate and perfect notes again. Some other toppers notes or some other material would definitely have more points than the notes which you have made. But it is not about points, it is about addressing the topic. If your points are addressing the topic well, and if some other person has written some 5 points more, you need not incorporate those 5 points unless and until they are very important and like the core thing about the topic. So it is okay to end your
What
notes
did
over
you
there.
read about ethics?
Sorry?
Ethics, social for
Just
ethics.
if excuse me for a minute, I'm just getting a call from office. Please, sorry.
Yes, I did ask question about the
Hello?
resources for ethics. What did you refer for ethics?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you can. You are audible.
I think just a second, I'm not able to listen to you. Hello?
Yes, you are audible, sir. Hello. Am I
Am I
audible?
audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Can you speak something? I think I'm not able to listen to you.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Sir, you are audible. Can you hear us, sir?
There is some issue.
Can you hear us now?
Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Shall I rejoin because I am not able to hear
Okay.
you guys?
Please, yeah.
I'll just try to disconnect and join again.
Okay, sure.
We can resume. Yeah.
I did ask question about the resources for ethics. What did you refer and how did you handle
Okay.
the yes4?
Okay. Resources or ethics. So I think initially I referred to Lukman IAS notes. I got them from the market. So and then this time I made notes on depending upon the pattern in the PYQs. Like if there is a theme which is getting repeated, certain values, whatever is getting repeated, I made very concise notes on each and every topic out of the big notes which I had earlier. And then I tried to incorporate some examples, some value addition, some diagrams again. So that was, I did not run after many resources. Only the Lukman IS notes were my basic thing. And then I tried to think and add on my own what I can add from my own thing. Like I did brainstorm over ethics. I devoted a substantial amount of time over brainstorming ethics question. And fortunately, I've scored well in ethics also. So I think thinking, bringing your own points to the answer, like it is very personalized and very opinion based thing. Like standard notes will only help you to some extent. What is your own thinking which you can get into your ethics answers is important. And then I refer to not much but two or three topper copies and try to see how they are structuring their answers, what points are they asking, what points are they mentioning. Like I saw the people who were getting good marks were complementing their assertions with examples from daily life. Like each point had an example. You cannot just write a point and not substantiate it with an example. So I think examples play a very important role in ethics, and they can be very basic example from your life, from day-to-day life, from governance, from anywhere. But they just have to be commonsensical examples. So I think brainstorming and writing more helps in ethics rather than reading more. Like in GS1, GS3, maybe reading would help. You should have a good coverage of your reading. The more topics you read, the better you will be able to reproduce. But in ethics, I think the more questions you practice, the more brainstorming you do, the more answer writing you do, the better it is.
Sir, I had another question, and
Yeah.
probably if students do not have any other question, we may stop. We are going for the last 10-15 minutes
Sure.
maybe. The
Sure.
question was, is your success is the culmination of whatever you have done from past 10-15 years, or is the result of past 2 to 3 years or 4 to 5 years since when you are beginning you prepare? You have actually mentioned time and again that you have been working for past year or two, and that has taken toll on your available timings for the preparations.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
said that you tried to write the answers essentially after your prelims. So there must be certain people struggle in when it comes to answer writing. People struggle with their vocabularies. People struggle to organize their ideas when it comes to the answer. Are there any habits or are there any qualities that you had earlier that have helped in last 4 5 years?
See, I definitely cannot negate the how things accumulate over the years. Like things from the past do help in some way or the other. Like a BTech might have helped me to save time on CSAT. So a BTech would have helped me to like analyze or get a grasp over difficult concepts relatively in a relatively easy fashion. So might not be IT, might not have helped me in my UPSC profession directly, but maybe the logical bent of mind, the effort you invested over there in understanding tricky concepts would have made this preparation a bit easy. So the past definitely helps. Your background, your schooling, your education, it does help. It is not like you can negate your past. It definitely adds up. But I think it only serves as a foundation, and the real thing is what you do in those last 1 year. That is what really matters the most. As I said, I had prepared for 3 years in 18, 19, 20. But because that preparation was not very much aligned with the demands of the exam, I did not have the right guidance. My preparation was not suited. So ultimately, I ended up discarding all my notes. There was a huge bulky amount of material which I had prepared, and I just threw it away this time because it was not the right strategy. So what mattered was the past 6 to 8 months, which I had prepared intensively with thorough focus on the actual requirement of the exam. That is what matters the most in your last attempt. And I think that is how it is because people do improve their scores tremendously, like from a mere 300 in GS to 450 in GS. So I think the thing which you do in the last 6 to 8 months before the actual exam is what matters the most. Although the things in the past do help you, but the last year is the most important, I think.
So one other question. Many
Hello, sir.
So we are especially based in Mumbai. So
Sure.
in Dombivli that our academy is located in, and we have a lot of parents who are not as patient as students would like to have. So did you face any such question? Did you face any such problem? Of course, you had the backup, but still 3 years of the initial
Yeah.
preparation. How did you handle the family pressure and the peer pressure?
Yeah. So I think family support is very much required in this preparation. The preparation tends to get long. You might not get achieve success in the initial attempts. So I think the backing of family, their support, their encouragement is required so that you are not always under stress. I had the luxury of sitting 3 years at home and not doing anything except preparing. So family support is required. But and you, of course, when you're at home and sitting for long hours without a job, though that comparison with peer group, all those things are real. Say, matlab कि we have to face this challenge. Like I was from a decently good college. I had a good corporate job when I left. So the sunk cost gets high with each passing year. Like my peers were really doing very well in the life, they were zooming ahead. And you will always get a feeling of that relative deprivation. कि You are going nowhere in life, there is no certainty. You had left a good thing. Like in my case, my sunk cost was even higher. I had quit a corporate job. I had not joined the Indian Army. I had, and I had been sitting in for the past 3 years at home without a job, and you might be labeled as a failure also. So that becomes challenging. The society, your relatives, parents also would get and would not be very patient sometimes, and they would nudge you or prod you to take up a job. So that is the challenge an aspirant has to face. But I think we have to realize, and this is what I personally feel, and I would this is a forum where I can express myself. So like I feel a backup is very necessary in this preparation. It is of utmost importance. Personally, I would not suggest anybody to spend, like, I think 3 years was also, matlab ki it was a long time. Like, personally, I feel you can give 2 years to this preparation wholeheartedly. You can give 2 attempts sitting at home without a job. That is that is where you should max to max. If you are feeling very comfortable, the third attempt would be my last. I'm very comfortable with the exam. I would definitely clear it 3 years. After that, I would personally not recommend anyone to just be at home without any job and keep on preparing, because at the end of the day we are studying the same thing. Maybe our somewhere down the line a strategy is not correct, which was in my case. And I was very clear that I would go for a backup. So, and I was fortunate enough to get into RBI in the very first instance. And due to some reasons, I could not attempt after joining RBI. Like, that is again a challenge, that your UPSC journey might get delayed. But I think still it is better than living with the uncertainty and being stuck in the UPSC cycle, because it tends to be a vicious cycle. So first 2 to 3 attempts is okay, but there's somewhere you have to have a line and look for life outside UPSC. Once you are settled, you are comfortable, maybe you would have to work really hard along with the job or whatever you are doing, but that is still doable rather than sitting at home and studying with the anxiety of whether I'll get through or not, with that pressure of being unemployed, with the constant pressure of society, friends. That is more challenging, I would say, than it is compared to preparing with a job. It might get in difficult, like you would have to compromise on your sleep to extract the amount of hours, but that is still okay. At least you have a clear head. You don't have the pressure. Like, I am in Reserve Bank of India, so I gave this attempt with a lot of freedom and liberty. I did not have much at stake, and I think that is what helped me also. I had less time, so I optimized on my resources. I I tried to find a shortcut for everything, like not run after resources. It was not possible for me to run after resources because I had so much paucity of time. So I think these things help, like the mental freedom which you have, these things help. So I would strongly suggest not to invest too much time solely in this preparation. Like, people might say कि somebody has cleared it in his, I myself have cleared it at my fourth attempt, but it is, like, people do clear it sixth attempt, seventh attempt, whatever. But I think better to refrain from our examples and have something and then prepare if we are taking time, and not just prepare for this exam.
Can you give us few quality? If I have to realize, like the army has the slogan, "Ki, do you have it in you?" How
Yeah,
do you know that we have? I am the IS material. I am the IFS material. How would I know?
I think answering this is very difficult. See, I did not make it in my first 3 attempts. Then I think I would have felt that I do not have it in me. Yes, people would start feeling they do not have in themselves what is required to clear this exam. But I think at the end of the day, this exam is, you can develop what is needed for this exam. It is like some exams tend to reward your intrinsic intelligence or IQ. This is not an exam which rewards your intrinsic intelligence. Like, a CAT is an exam, an IIT JEE is an exam where always people who are more intelligent, who tend to have higher IQ, will definitely have an edge over a normal aspirant. Like, no matter how much I am, how much I study, I'll never be able to compete with a person in a IQ test who is having like very high IQ. But in UPSC, it is not like that. It is very common people, very people with very modest backgrounds, people from all walks of life are able to clear this exam. So, what is needed for this exam, I think, can be developed over a period of time. Even if one feels that some people might feel ki, yes, they have it, they have all the requisite qualities on the day one. And we have seen people clearing it in the first attempt, second attempt. So, some people are wired and they have the capacity right from the day one, and they might feel can clear it. Most of us, I think, would feel we do not have what is required for this exam, but at the same time, I will say we can develop what is required for this exam over a period of time with the right amount of effort, with the right strategy, with the right guidance. I think we can crack this exam.
Thank you. I guess any other question?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
As you said, in your last attempt, you change your strategy according to the requirement of UPSC. So,
Yeah.
can you please elaborate about that requirement specifically?
I think it is about understanding what the exam requires. That is through the previous year questions. You have to analyze the previous year questions. After we have analyzed, we'll tend to see some trend. We'll tend to see some repetitions. What UPSC is asking, we might be studying X, but UPSC is asking Y. So we have to understand and zero down on that Y. So PYQ analysis is must. And then again, as I have reiterated again and again, making short and concise notes, not going after running after materials, making 1 or 2 pages on each word of the syllabus, as most of the toppers say. So I think these are some non-negotiables, and these are some of the aspects of a common strategy for all of us, I would say. These are some changes which I made, which worked in favor of me this time.
One more.
Yeah.
In answer writing and essay, there is a need of a little innovation to make your answers and essay distinguish in comparison to others. So, what efforts did you take to brought that element of innovation in your answer writing and essays?
I would not agree to this very much. You have to be very unique or you have to force some innovation into your essays. I think some originality in thought process, I think, gets rewarded. Like some coaching would try to tell you कि ये डाल दो, ये value addition कर दो, they try to do it in a very mechanical fashion. And I have not scored very well in my essay, to be honest. And essay marks tend to fluctuate also a lot with each attempt. But according to me, what works is, rather than innovation and uniqueness, it is coherence, originality, like genuineness. Like the essay should be very simple to read, the flow should be good, it should be coherent, it should be sticking to the topic, it should not be deviating from it, and it should be like there should be multiple dimensions to it. It should not be like you should not write 10 pages on the same dimension. You should drive a synthesis, like people tend to antithesis. You should make counter arguments also. So that is how I would say regarding innovation and thing. I think we can, as I said, add some masala or some extra thing by having reading some philosophies, some authors, some like this person said something like this. It was in this movie, it was like this. We can draw some references from movies, books, personalities, ancient history, world history, some famous personalities. So I think that can be labeled as innovation or something extra, which is adding newness to the essay.
Thank you, Rohit. It has been a splendid session. There were a lot of insights that probably students would have gained. Of course, the questions and deliberations can continue for a long, long time. It's after all civil services. So there are many things that will probably still be unanswered for the students, but we can still ask for help in some future time again.
Sure,
Thank
sure,
you.
sure.
Thank you very much for your time, and congratulations for your success and all the best for your all future endeavors.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for giving me this platform. Thanks a lot. Thanks again.
I'm sure you will make us proud. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, I have one question at the end. I'm sorry, but
Okay.
how many years previous should the PYQs be referred? Like if I'm appearing in 2028, so how many years back should I go for the PYQs?
I think 6 to 7 years is good. If you have time, maybe 10 years. And for optional, you can go even more than that. Like optional, the more the amount of PYQs you do, the better it would be. But for prelims and mains, I think 6 to 7 years or 10 years is a good amount of time.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone,
Sure.
for
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.